Lift your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls them each by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. That's from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 26. And that's our theme this month. We're thinking about the stars, we're thinking about the greatness of the universe and what God has done in creating it and letting us be a part of that. So last week we began in our podcast to do a mixed media about or our subject, not really about, but our subject was the solar eclipse or a solar eclipse. And we started out painting our background. We did some masking to protect the sun and the corona. And today we're going to take the next step in that. We're going to take the masking off, paint in the sun, draw the corona, and take one step closer to finishing our eclipse painting for this month of September. So I hope you'll get your paints out, you'll get your supplies, get ready, and let's get ready to have some fun and also to enjoy celebrating this great God that we have. Well, now that our paper is dry, it's time to take the masking off. Now, there's several ways you can do this. You can just use your finger to just gently pull the masking back, and eventually, if you just keep working at it, it's going to come off. The main reason it's not the greatest idea to do that is you will have oils in your finger, and so those oils, some of those will transfer to the paper and might make it more difficult for the paper to take in water and the watercolor. You can try a clean pencil eraser. I emphasize clean because you don't want to transfer any graphite or dirt, and that will pull it up. But I prefer actually a tool for removing masking. You can get these at pretty much any art supply store, and it's just sort of a square of a rubbery material, and it works better than anything, because when you know, I had to work with both of those other approaches, and the masking wasn't coming off very easily. And here you just pull on this and it's going to come right off. Again, you want to keep this clean. Make sure it's not dirty, because any dirt on it will transfer to the paper. So we want to be real careful there. And just work to get our masking off. And sometimes when you get big enough lumps here, you can just kind of pull on it like that, and the rest of it will just come off. Okay, so we've got our sun and corona here. You might not be able to see it real well on the video, but there's still just a little bit of the pencil marks left. I can always come back in here again if I need to, and again, just kind of gently reinforce. And remember, I am almost putting no pressure at all on the pencil. I'm just kind of holding it here in my hands and letting it go around, just so I can get a little bit better coverage. Okay, so we've got the sky, we've got the sun and the corona, and let's go ahead now and we're going to paint in the sun in our next step, or actually it's going to be the moon, because it's going to be the moon in front of the sun. So let's get some paints and do that next step. Now, to do this next spot, or next part, we're going to use our same three colors. I've got alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, boy, that one's a hard one to say, and this is a cadmium yellow. So I'm going to take these three colors and I'm going to mix all three of them together. because I could use black. I mean, if you look at most photos, and even if you watch the eclipse, the moon itself looks pretty black when it's moving in front of the sun. But when you're painting, as much as possible, you want to avoid using straight black. It just tends to stand out too much. It kills the color. And so if I'm going to do any kind of black at all, I'm going to make my own black, and I'm going to use the three primary colors that I'm working with here to do that. So I've got a flat brush, but for starters, just to get the color mixing process going, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my ultramarine blue, transfer some of that over. Okay, and let's add some water in here. That's not a very good one for adding water. Let me use my bigger brush, get a little bit more water. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to clean that brush out before I go over into my alizarin. And incidentally, if you don't have these exact colors, it's okay. Work with what you have and don't worry about what you don't have. Okay, so I'm going to mix those two together, and it's going to give me a really nice dark purple. I'm going to add a little bit more. I've got a kind of a big glob of alizarin on my brush there. I want to make sure that that's all dissolved. Okay, let's go over and clean that brush out again. And then I'm going to come over into my yellow and just get a little bit. And that's going to change that to a very dark reddish brown. Let me come over here, get some more blue. Let's bring that in there. So I just want a deep, rich, dark color. I don't want it to be just a flat black. And I'm going to just flip the paper over and look at the other side and see if that's going to work. And I like that. I like that color. Okay, so now it's going to be time to do our sun, and that's can be a little bit tricky. We've masked it, but now it's going to take kind of a steady hand here. And let me show you how I do this. I'm actually going to take my glasses off so I can see it better. I'm using a flat brush, and I'm going to come into my water, get some clean water, get the brush wet, and then I'm going to blot that water out. Okay, now I'm going to dip into my concentrated color here, and very carefully I'm going to just go around the edge of that line. Okay, don't be in a hurry to do this, and turn your paper as you need to. We're not going to worry about the center of the sun right now, or the center of the moon, really. I just want to follow that line that I drew. Okay, so it's okay to rotate the paper and just very carefully follow along the line. The flat brush gives me more control over that outside edge. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm getting a really good, really good coverage there. Come again. And just very carefully, be patient. be slow, and again, a flat brush will help you do this. And again, rotating your paper helps a lot. Okay. And it's okay if it's not absolutely perfect. And the main thing here is you don't want to get too much paint on your brush, because if you do, then it's easier to kind of overshoot the line and end up with a glob that you don't want. So let's just be careful about how much we use, because we can always come back in with more. And take your time. Just focus. Focus on that outside line and make sure that you're getting it just right. Okay. Now you may want to come in with a little bit more color just to darken that. Be careful that you don't get droplets of paint where you don't want them, but you can add a little bit more color in. And then we let that dry. Now watercolors tend to dry lighter, so we'll wait till this dries and then we will look at it again and see if we need to put any more color in there. Now the sun has, or I keep saying it's the sun, it's actually the moon in front of the sun, has dried out, and as you can see, it looks really good. I like the color and the look of it. It's not a flat black, it's just a real dark kind of burgundy purple, but it's you know, just perfect for what we want. Now the next step is to draw the corona. Now we're going to add a little black light pop to this, and there are a couple ways that you can do it. One is you know, you can just go get a regular fluorescent marker and you know, color in the corona with a fluorescent marker. I wish I had fluorescent watercolors. I don't. You can get some fluorescent acrylics and paint them in, but this is kind of a mixed media, and so I'm going to use Extreme Colors pencils. You can get these on the See the Light website. You just go to the See the Light store and you will find these, and of course you can, you know, find them in your local store too, probably. But there are a number of different colors that we have to work with, and we're not going to use all of them. And really, if you look at the photos of the eclipse, the corona actually kind of looks white, but I don't have anything white here, so the closest I've got is going to be kind of a let's see the color they have there. They call it lemon glacier, but it's sort of a fluorescent yellow. And then we're going to also just add a little bit of a touch, because if you look at photos of the eclipse, you'll see that there are little places where solar flares are coming out. And so we're going to use, this is called Sizzling Sunset. It's just a nice fluorescent orange. But we're going to go ahead and do the sun's corona in fluorescent colored pencils. I'm going to move this a little bit so that you can see better what I'm doing. And now again, we just didn't really have a whole lot of rhyme or reason as to how we drew this. Just kind of gave it a rough edge around. So what we want to do is we're going to color as much as possible, just kind of following the corona, and I'm trying not to color in the entire background here. Because when we turn it out and turn a black light on it, then it'll hopefully look like maybe some dark background spaces showing through or something like that. I don't know. But just kind of imagine that you're drawing flames, and instead of just coloring straight like that, try, as you look at whatever patterns you've got here, try to kind of follow the line that you laid down. And if you look at some pictures of the sun's corona, then you'll notice that it looks like a bunch of white strings or magnetic fields coming out from the sun. So it's kind of a cool look. So just draw those lines, those strings in, and in a second here we're going to turn on a black light and see how it looks. Let's color in some first, and then we can always go back and adjust it a little bit if we need to. Just kind of curling around and doing a little overhand there. Okay, so I've got that colored in. I'm going to turn on a couple of black lights. Now the black lights are on, so let's take a look and see what our corona looks like. And I like that. Now I've got with the black light on, I might, go ahead and be a little fancier here, throw a few more lines out just to make it interesting. And again, you might want to go online and see some pictures of what the sun's corona looked like during the eclipse or during another total eclipse. That's not perfect, but I think it gives us something to look at that looks good. Now I'm going to take my orangish color and I'm going to add in some of those solar flares. Now you don't want a lot of these, because if you look at some pictures of the sun, you're not going to see just a ton of them, but there's usually a few that are just sticking out there. Okay, so that's the first part of our solar eclipse. Now we need to maybe add a few stars in the sky. So how are we going to do that? Well, we'll get that in the next step.
Well, that's all we have time for today. If you enjoyed this video, click that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell if you want to be notified when we have new videos. We'll have them up every week. And also check out our other videos. Check out our website, homeschoolartclass.com or seethelightshine.com/art for videos that will help you grow as an artist. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Jim Pence with See the Light. I hope that you will continue to paint, and remember, always have fun.